The whole, I guess, marketing behind digital ID is that everyone needs legal ID because otherwise they're unable to access essential services, right? And so the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion. And based on how they've been set up, they have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system, as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. They've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II. I think the digital ID and the CBDC and its private sector equivalence project is something that we're always sort of intended to be the same system.
Whitney Webb is a writer, podcaster, and researcher at Unlimited Hangout, mostly covering intelligence, tech, surveillance, and civil liberties. She is also the author of the new book, One Nation Under Blackmail. In this interview with Mark Goodwin, Whitney unravels the conspiracy surrounding the feds and the introduction of CBDCs. Whitney believes one of the most concerning aspects of CBDC is the potential for increased government surveillance. Since CBDC would be issued and managed by the Federal Reserve, all transactions could be tracked and monitored. This could erode financial privacy and give the government unprecedented insight into individual spending habits and financial behaviors. And the Feds also believes it also becomes a legal ID for financial inclusion. She also asserts that CBDC could give central banks more direct control over the money supply. This could allow for more precise implementation of monetary policies, such as setting negative interest rates directly on digital currency holdings. While this could be beneficial for economic management, it also means the government could have more control over individual finances. Whitney further believes that the introduction of CBDCs could disrupt the traditional banking system, where people move their money from commercial banks to central bank-issued digital wallets. It could reduce the deposits that banks rely on to lend money. And however, the Feds have this idea that CBDC will encourage and promote financial inclusivity, but on the contrary, this will cause financial exclusivity. As we bring you clips from the interview, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more video like this. You can join the conversation by dropping your thoughts, comments, and observations in the comment section below. Everything you do helps with YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel growth. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
So there's documents from the UN, from the BIS, and related groups that are sort of been working, that have been working on this for years, that essentially frame one as essential to the other, using words about, this is inclusionary, the whole, I guess, marketing behind digital ID is that everyone needs legal ID because otherwise they're unable to access essential services, right? And so the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, which you brought up earlier. But inherently, these systems actually function in an exclusionary way, based on how they've been set up. They have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you have legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system, as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. So you have to onboard to the surveillance state or be excluded from everything. So it's being marketed as inclusion, but it's really inherently exclusionary.
How do we end up where they want us to go?
Well, I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. So Bretton Woods was what came out of World War II essentially, and was the creation of a new financial governance system after World War II.
In the aftermath of World War II, the world economy lay in ruins. Nations desperately wanted to avoid a repeat of the economic chaos that had contributed to the Great Depression and potentially another war. This is where the Bretton Woods story begins. In July 1944, amidst the ongoing war, delegates from 44 allied nations met at the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire, USA. Their goal: forge a new international financial system to foster global recovery and prevent future economic meltdowns. The attendees aimed to create a stable and predictable exchange rate system. Imagine currencies being like puzzle pieces. They needed to fit together smoothly for international trade to function. To Whitney, like World War II, a major event is required to aid implementation so as to convince the people to onboard.
And this is essentially an effort to create a new financial governance system that was announced well before any sort of crisis like that, but it's probably going to need a crisis of that level to be implemented and to convince people to onboard at scale. And if you subscribe to the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, which there is plenty of evidence to support that, I would say, that seems to suggest that perhaps, this is the it's going to be a problem reaction solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Debt bubble exploding is that when you know that the debt bubble is going to explode and you want to explode it into the new system, the way that you sort of trigger that into the system that you want to get the masses to go with you is you actually want to have the most debt obligations on the record, like on the board, so that when the system pops, they'll all pop. When the debt bubble pops, every debt bubble will pop. It will be everything all at once. It won't just be like, oh, Japan's fine, the US is fucked. Like, it won't work like that. Everything will pop at once. So in this weird way, you actually want to create as much debt as possible right before the pin bursts the bubble, and then you can offer this, hey, we'll service your debt 1-to-1 if you come join this new universal tokenized ledger. Just sign up here, do a selfie of your face, and give us your biometrics, and then here you are. So do you see that? Do you think that the COVID stimulus and monetary expansion was essentially a hey, this is the U.S. dollar system understanding that the global debt, this system post Bretton Woods is about to explode, so let's create as much debt as possible to then lead everybody into the new system?
Yeah, I think there's a correlation there. A lot of the people building this system are people that are debt barons, essentially. BlackRock in particular had a really big role to play in the whole COVID monetary situation.
During COVID, critics pointed to potential conflicts of interest, given BlackRock's dual role as an asset manager and advisor to the Federal Reserve. There were concerns that BlackRock could benefit from the asset purchases it was managing on behalf of the Fed, especially since it also managed funds that might have held similar assets. Some suggested that BlackRock's involvement in the bond buying programs gave it undue influence over the financial markets. Given BlackRock's already significant presence in the asset management industry, its role in the Fed's programs was seen by some as further consolidating its power. There were calls for greater transparency in BlackRock's operations and its agreements with the Federal Reserve. Critics argued that the details of how BlackRock was chosen and how it operated these programs were not sufficiently disclosed to the public. The pandemic highlighted the concentration of financial power among a few large firms, with BlackRock often at the center of discussions. Some conspiracy theories suggested that BlackRock was leveraging the crisis to increase its dominance in the financial sector.
At the same 2019 Jackson Hole meeting where Mark Carney talked about the new financial system to come is when BlackRock presented their going direct paper, which was the policy that was followed essentially and exactly when COVID hit, just a few months later. And BlackRock utilizes debt to increase its profitability and power and ownership of things around the world. And honestly, since debt's been such a big part of the control system for a long time, it's the people that can control the most debt on Wall Street and stuff tend to be the most powerful and the most successful, right? Well, it seems like in Larry Fink's case in particular, there's a goal, a big ambition there to develop new asset classes that can be used to basically fuel their existing business model and perpetuate it for millennia forward. Mm-hmm. So one of these that I've been writing about for a few years is the whole idea of natural assets, what they call nature's economy.
Nature economy is an initiative focused on integrating environmental sustainability and natural capital into the economic and financial systems. The idea behind the nature economy is to recognize and value the critical services that natural ecosystems provide to the economy and society, and to promote investment in the preservation and restoration of these ecosystems. Consequently, people can own little bits of nature's asset, like owning a percentage of a lake's, parks, beaches, etc. And these assets are traded on the stock market, hereby delivering unprecedented profits to BlackRock. Let's get back to the video.
And one of the groups that has been sort of propelling this forward, at least one of the earlier groups, the Intrinsic Exchange Group, which is a product of the Rockefeller Foundation and the multilateral development banking system, has a graphic on their website called The Opportunity, and they show there the existing amount of assets in the world economy, and then show what it, if we unlock natural assets, how nature's economy, it's like 6 times the amount of existing assets in the economy today. And so as an asset manager, BlackRock being able to unlock and take control of as many natural assets as possible that aren't currently part of the financial system is obviously a way for them to perpetuate what they do and deepen and expand their control over not just people in the existing financial system, but really over the natural world as well, and essentially turn everything alive into a tradable Wall Street financial product. And the goal, as Fink has stated, is to have all of this on a universal ledger, on blockchain presumably, and have it be trackable and surveillable, which is interesting if you look at it through the context of risk management, which is something that Larry Fink is very open as having been one of the guiding lights of his whole career. And so by having it all surveillable and automated in a sense, he's able to have his risk management AI thing, Aladdin, sort of exercise control over it in unprecedented ways, I think, for their benefit. And then, of course, a lot of what's happening now as we're moving into this new financial governance system is the push to change all of the infrastructure towards this, quote unquote, green a green model, I guess, or decarbonization, right? Which is, of course, interface with the global carbon market, but not necessarily so, like it doesn't have to be. But the push is obviously to create a bunch of new infrastructure all over the world, and BlackRock is positioning themselves to be one of the key players in that space. They acquired, I think they're called GIP, one of the biggest infrastructure, developers in the world. And I think one of their top guys at Davos just a few months ago was talking about how they're betting really big on infrastructure going forward, and it's going to be one of the biggest investment opportunities of the next several decades, actually. So I think they're quite ambitious, and if people aren't aware of this, I'm sure they'll get away with it, but we'll see.
That's our video for today, featuring Whitney Webb as she delves into the BlackRock conspiracy and its role in the global order. What are your thoughts on Whitney's discussion in this podcast? Please share your comments and observations in the comments section below, subscribe to our channel, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.